We've been talking about the 100 days in office of President Donald Trump, and we've been looking at how he's performed and the perception he has generated. We have with us Chike Chude, a public affairs analyst. He's been with us since morning, and we spoke with veteran CNN anchor earlier on, Jim Clancy. And we also have standing by in Belgium, Collins Nweke, a global affairs policy analyst as well, joining us right now. Now, Chike, we have been following up on this all the while. Now, one issue on the front burner right now is the U.S. and North Korea. A lot of tensions going on in the Korean Peninsula. What is your take as to how this issue, any issue escalating, can be averted?
Yeah, well, it's an issue that has gone on for over 2 decades now, and there's been this policy of containment, trying to manage the crisis so that it doesn't really break out into full-time war. The reality is that North Korea is not exactly like Libya or Syria or Iraq. North Korea has what it takes to cause significant damage to American interests, especially across the border, South Korea. And so that is why they've been trying to contain them for quite some time. Obviously, it has not worked. This has gone on over 3 administrations, if I'm correct. George Bush, Clinton, Obama, and it has gone on.
Yeah, but the other administrations, yes, according to Donald Trump, has been some kind of a level of patience or so with North Korea. But Trump said he's not interested in such patience. It's time for action.
Well, the issue is that a lot of people, a lot of Americans and policy analysts were also tired of the fruitlessness of the previous engagements that other American administrations had with North Korea. And so for a lot of them, sooner or later, something was going to break. And the more the patience, the danger of North Korea actually getting to the level where they develop a nuclear weapon. At that particular point in time, the whole scenario changes. You understand? So, and of course, again, there's some hope, if not for any other thing, but at least on the basis of the serious negotiations that the international community represented by the United States, Russia, and France, and Britain, and the rest had with Iran, that eventually led to a kind of agreement. Yeah. So there's that hope. But again, just like Jim Clancy said, the North Koreans have always been desirous of having direct negotiations with the United States. But what has always happened as a matter of policy is that sometimes the American administrations are always reluctant to have direct negotiations with those countries they, see or describe as rogue, states.
Rogue states.
So usually what they do is to use third parties to try to get across to them. You have China in this instance, occasionally Russia.
Japan is also
Japan, there's a no-love-loss relationship between
Japan and
Japan and North Korea and the rest, but essentially China. So this time around, I think, Donald Trump, because of his temperament and a lot of other things, has ratcheted up the crisis to a level where, for the very first time, the North Korean, leadership realizes that this might be a man, if care is not taken, that could, shoot before he looks. And so at the same time, nobody wants a war. In spite of all the rhetorics, all the warnings and all the threats from North Korea, they do not want a war. Because ultimately they realize that wars are going to be very costly. And at the end of these wars, the Kim dynasty will be out.
Let's get back to our discussions we have been holding all the while. Let's bring in Fola Dele now to give us a perspective on social media, what people are saying about Donald Trump, 100 days in office. Fola, it's good to have you on eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Good morning, Chike. All right, so let's find out what people are saying online. Claude Taylor says, one of the White House's alternative facts they want you to believe is Trump's first 100 days have been a success. They've been a disaster. David Rothkopf says, Flynn's scandal alone makes first 100 days historically bad for Trump, but it is only the tip of the iceberg. Debt of Labor says, number of executive orders signed in the first 100 days, Obama 19, Trump 28. And he puts a smiley that's going like that. AD says, worked with Congress to pass more legislation in the first 100 days than any president since Truman. God bless President Trump always. Phil Hui says Trump has only been there 100 days. Clinton and Obama were there 8 years each. Maybe give him a chance, not like he's going away soon. Crystal Canton says the best part of Trump's first 100 days, they weren't Hillary's first 100 days.
Oh, wow.
Epic there. But actually, let me ask you this. So there's a quote I have here from the White House briefing room website, and it says, getting government out of the way, President Donald J. Trump has done more to stop the government from interfering in the lives of Americans in his first 100 days than any other president in history. How true is this statement? And if it's been listed as an accomplishment, can we then say that this is essentially what the people of America want, less government involvement in their affairs?
Well, the issue is that, I mean, it has been a recurring issue. Obama started it, this issue of vilifying government and, you know, accusing government of being too much in the face of the average American people. So you hear statements about, you know, politicians in Washington and all of that. And I think one of the selling points of Donald Trump was the fact that he was not a politician. And that, and so a lot of people, because all over the world, even Europe and the rest, people are actually getting tired of politicians. And they feel that politicians have not exactly been up and doing and have not exactly been sincere and honest, you know, in what they do. But the reality is that you can never really get government, you know, take government away from the people. Because ultimately, the people themselves participate in bringing about government in the first place. So they want a government, yes, a government that is not exactly too intrusive in terms of, I mean, in their lives, you know, but at the same time, a government that allows them to be, you know, without too much interference. And it is one of those things he ran on. But I think as time goes on, he's going to realize that it's not exactly going to be a very easy thing to take government away from the people.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we should bring Collins in here. Collins, you've been patient. Many thanks for your time on TVC Breakfast today. Your thoughts really on President Trump's rating, 41%. That's the level of acceptance he has so far. But link that to what happened with the Russia scandal. People have said, from what we read in that tweet there, that Michael Flynn resignation alone is a scandal that won't go away anytime soon. What's your thought on that? Collins, can you hear us?
All right, I guess the lines for Collins are off, but I think we have to direct that question to Achike now, maybe.
Okay, so
yeah, you were talking about, of course,
just linking that to the tweet we saw earlier there.
Yeah, a very serious tweet. I mean, a serious issue. The reality is that you know, there's been this sneaky feeling even before the election itself that there was some kind of relationship that was not exactly above board with the Russian government. Of course, you know that Trump has, you know, was heavy in his support of Putin, that he described as a friend. And he said that there was every possibility that America could have a new kind of partnership with Putin. That is what the Americans, a lot of Americans did not want to hear. Over time, you know, there has been this vilification of Russia under Vladimir Putin, especially. But again, it goes beyond that. You see, the reality is that, you know, once America has never been without a threat deficit from 2019, about 1917, when the Russian Revolution took place, especially after the second, you know, World War. The Soviet Union had always been an implacable foe of the United States. And I guess that the military establishment in the United States would always want that scenario to continue because it's a multi-billion-dollar investment. You know, a lot of people do not realize that. So when he was not talking about a kind of rapprochement with Russia, it upset a lot of people, especially within the military hierarchy of the United States. And then again, following that, then all of the scandals that we saw, you know, the Michael Flynn, and then the lies, the denials, and the rest. You know, and of course, you know, Trump has made one major mistake, making the media an enemy. You know, it profited him in a way, you know, before that election and so on, but that battle has continued. So they look behind everything that he says. They want to find out, you know, what exactly has gone on and so on. And that was why they are unrelenting. And so that scandal, I agree, is not going to go away because it has consumed a lot of people and might even consume more. So I think that tweet is not exactly wrong.
Okay. All right, Fola. Thank you very
so
much.
much.
Thank you. All right. Well, as we drive home this now, we certainly have to bring you home to Africa and Nigeria. A lot of when he was elected president, a lot of Africans started thinking and projecting how soon will he come to Africa? Which of the countries in Africa will he visit first, and what will be his engagement with Africa and all of that. So in looking from that window, what should Africans expect and how should they engage with the United States?
First of all, America continues to be a very important country to the African continent. Clearly, so many issues, terrorism, especially the issue of terrorism, which has become a very major problem in Africa. Economic-wise, business-wise, not exactly so. The reality is that America is not Africa is not a major player in the international scene. You know, in terms of industrialization, Africa, you know, and the trade, Africa is contributor maybe an insignificant 5%, you know, to international trade. And so that does not exactly make America a very major partner in terms of economic strategies and so on. But the reality is that America today is not as important to Africa as America was some years back, because you have a new, you know, entrant into the American market, and that is China. So there's this competition between the United States, Europe, and then China. And that's why some time ago, Obama hosted most of the African, you know, presidents, leaders in the United States to unfold an economic agenda for future partnership. China has also done the same thing. So I do not think, ultimately, really, I think that Africa's solution lies with Africans.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but there's some summits coming up, the G7 summit, G20 summit, and some of them will focus on Africa and immigration. Maybe that will help
exactly.
in the long run.
We look forward to that.
Yeah.
Achike Chude, thank you very much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you.